Because this seems to be a problem we have with every official that we're going to run into, violation of office. And this is, as a U.S. trustee, you have been operating under conflicting presumptions as to being a valid U.S. state of American public officer or a foreign bar officer. And that's addressed in the 14th Amendment 3. No person shall be a senator or representative in Congress or elector of president or vice president or hold any office, civil or military. So that includes the trustee under the United States or under any state who, having previously taken an oath as a member of Congress or as an officer of the United States or as any member of any state legislature or as an executive or official judicial officer of any state who support the Constitution of the United States shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same or given aid or comfort to the enemies thereof. So it's that last part that gets them. So you have violated this trust of office by operating with conflicting interests, by not first supporting the American beneficiaries, but to give your first support to the fraudulent corporate fiduciary beneficial owners, and the using of conflict of laws, by not complying with the American constitutional laws, but giving full support to the English statutory bankers' laws. Now, so there's obviously more to come with this. This highlights the problem, and I'm very interested to see how Patrick looks at solving that problem. But we have that problem all the way up and down the line with the people that we're trying to deal with. You know, if they were constitutional, we should be having no problem, but they're not. So you have any ideas on how he's going to go at this? Because that's an obvious problem. We need to call the trustees on the carpet before we address the manumission to them, so that they're following the right laws to deal with this. Okay.
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, Tom. It's Drew here.
How are you doing?
Doing all right. I was looking on the Department of Justice website for the U.S. trustees and found that a lot of them are actors, or they have acting in front of trustee. So I went to...
So they haven't been appointed. They haven't been appointed.
Exactly. And an actor, according to Black's Law Dictionary, says enrollment law, one who acted for another, one who attended to another's business, a manager or agent, a slave who attended to, transacted, or superintended his master's business or affairs, received and paid out monies, and kept accounts. So there you go. It says an actor is a slave, according to Roman law. So if we've got the 13th, 14th, 15th Amendments abolishing slavery, then clearly the acting trustees have disqualified themselves according to the amendments.
So we get to abolish them.
Well, yes, an idea.
Right. Typically, my understanding, that's a good reference there. My understanding of that, when you say something is an acting director, that means somebody has resigned or quit, and this guy is put in place to take care of it until the official hire is being done. But this may be a way of having two meanings at once going on, the one you pointed out and the one that's accepted by everybody else.
I've also seen the acting in front of their titles also in the Department of State as well. So it seems to be quite a common thing And so anytime I see actor, I associate that now with slave. And I remember the 13th, 14th, 15th Amendments abolishing slavery.
So what percentage of U.S. trustees are acting trustees, did you see? There's only about 18 or 20 of them, right? Because it's divided into regions.
Yeah,
Just a rough guess, half or quarter or what?
I would say 80%.
How much?
70 to 80%.
Wow, that's pretty high. So there has to be
the ones in Texas, some of those other places have an actual U.S. trustee without the word acting in front of it or assistant.
Okay. Could you go through that definition again?
Sure. Is that for actor?
Yes, for acting, or actor.
Okay. According to the lawdictionary.org, what is actor in Roman law? One who acted for another, one who attended to another's business, a manager or agent, a slave who attended to, transacted, or superintended his master's business or affairs, received and paid out monies, and kept accounts.
Interesting. Okay, we'll have to see how that plays out.
The other thing that I was looking at, too, is on the Department of Justice website, or justice.gov, you have the United States at the top, but not of America. And that's another question as to which entities are we dealing with. Because you have a U.S. trustee, and then working apparently for the United States, or that's another thing is trying to get all the United States sorted out in their, who answers to who. In that
right.
Ring around the rosies there.
See, you really don't have to do that, okay?
Huh.
Just like any judge that's sitting on a court case, they're all giving the appearance that they are a lawful judge for the Constitution. And every person out here has taken an oath to support and defend the Constitution at one point in time in their life. Why do you think they put in that Pledge of Allegiance? That Pledge of Allegiance started out back in the 1870s or so by a minister to try and get and protect the offices, having the people get an understanding of that they were giving an oath to support and defend the Constitution. So everybody out here has, at one point in time in their life, given an oath to support and defend the Constitution, just like what Article 3 of the 14th Amendment says. So now any judge that's on that bench that is in violation of that, they've already given an oath. Now they're in violation. How many people does it take to basically charge treason?
2.
2. How many people have they assigned to you? How many persons?
10 or 20.
No. No.
If you have the main Social Security person.
No. They assigned you as a grantor, okay?
Okay.
By birth. And then you basically became a beneficiary, okay? The grantor is the father. The son is basically the beneficiary in the tribunal system. And then the Holy Ghost was supposed to be the account in the background. So you people got to start thinking outside the box here and start really understanding the Bible. what it's all about. It gave you the answers right there. This is all about banking. I've said this over and over again. The Prince and the Pauper basically was by Mark Twain. Watch the 1938 version, or 939 version, whatever year it was, of The Prince and the Pauper. Basically, in the middle of the movie there's this one guy that has an S on the side of his cheek. And I think he's also had a number. He was marked as a slave. But what did you get with that Social Security number? A slave number. So you were made a slave of England. You just didn't realize that you were becoming a slave of England. And right out of the Prince and the Pauper movie. I wrote up that article basically to put into your documents to notify basically any officer that you come across. It doesn't necessarily have to be the U.S. trustee. And in most cases, like here in the state of Iowa, we have a northern district and a southern district. The U.S. trustee is normally sitting in the northern district, but we have an assistant U.S. trustee in the southern district, which I'm in. But I'm still going to call him a U.S. trustee because I'm calling for the office. I'm not calling for the person. It's supposed to be a U.S. trustee office in each one of these federal district courts systems. And there's 96 federal district courts out here in this country. We also can't rely upon the first sentence of the 14th, Section 4 of the 14th Amendment until we basically do a disavow, an expatriation of our beneficial, being the beneficiary of these trusts, of these foreign trusts. We turn over the executor account as now to become a ward in the trust, and it's basically an unalienable ward. In other words, the beneficial owners can no longer place liens against that account. So the account is frozen. We give up the beneficiary of it, okay? Now that trust can no longer operate. The assets of that trust have to be liquidated and returned to the original grantor. Then the second sentence comes into play, and basically all these beneficial owners are out to lunch. They're cut out of the picture. They've already been paid because they've been using our assets out here all along. Now, in some cases, some of these corporations have been hoodwinked too, but that's their problem. They may have been paying everything over to the corporation, to the other corporation, to the mother corporation, or over to the foreign controlling person, England, and the Federal Reserve bankers, but that's not our problem. That's their problem. They wanted into this system, and they basically got what they're going to get, the shaft, if that's what it calls for. But you are coming in most cases, in these documents, it's going to be we are, not I am. We are, as the grantor and as the beneficiary, two different individuals. Therefore, you have your two that can charge treason in the process because they've identified you as two persons. And it takes two persons to charge treason. Until you do a renunciation of being the beneficiary for the Expatriation Act, you can't even be classified as an elector in this country. Read the first sentence of what it says in Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. Says right in there, no person shall be a senator or representative in Congress or elector of president and vice president. Okay? Well, we can't even be an elector of the president or vice president if we are basically in violation of supporting the Constitution. Not supporting the Constitution and creating an insurrection or rebellion against the country. So, there is no valid, lawful electors out here for the president or vice president. None of these senators or representatives are valid. If they've got a Social Security account, they're not a valid representative or senator. Do you owe them homage? No. Do you owe that judge homage? No. They're frauds. I said this over and over again. You have to understand the laws, the real laws. People have been bad-mouthing this 14th Amendment saying, well, it's all military and everything else. No, this was put into place to protect our rights. When we know who we are. I put up templates, Rev 7, I think it was, for the Social Security document. You guys want to change it? Go ahead. Okay? But instruction was spelled wrong. Instead of an ST, it should have been a CT. My spell checker isn't working on this damn Microsoft program that I have now. I don't know what the hell's going on. But only one person basically caught it. So too many of you people aren't really reading all this stuff, or you're just not good at spell checking either. This isn't rocket science, but you need to put the time in to study and learn this stuff and then be able to rattle some of this stuff off. These U.S. trustees, even the U.S. Attorney's Office, they're all operating in under conflicting presumptions as to being a valid United States public officer or a foreign bar officer. Which one are they? The public officers are supposed to be working for us. The foreign bar officers, they're working for the England, for the Bar Association, the Temple Bar out of England. And they're in total violation of the 14th Amendment, Section 3. Thing is, it says that it takes 2/3 of Congress to basically boot them out of office. I didn't put that in the document because basically the 2/3, once you do your revoking, is going to be you. Your 2 persons. 2 out of 3. Charging treason. That's how you get them out of office. You come in, like in my case, Patrick, of the family divine, as the grantor, the American grantor. And then as an American beneficiary, Patrick divine. Now, see, my baptismal certificate stands both as a birth certificate and as a baptismal certificate. Because it has my birth date on there, and it also has the date I was baptized or Christianed on there. That they've been operating in basically in conflict of interest because these U.S. trustees or even assistant trustees, whatever, their first job was to support the American beneficiaries. But they've been first supporting the fraudulent corporate fiduciary beneficial owners. Letting them claim that they're the creditors in all these cases. They've been paid. They borrowed either from the Federal Reserve banks and had the liens placed against our executor accounts, but they've been paid up front. And then the bonds are basically paying over the items again. And then they're turning around and getting the people of this country to turn around and buy the bonds. Through your retirement funds and different things like that. How many retirement funds have been totally broke by misappropriation over the years? Then they're operating in conflict of laws. Even these local judges and everything. Are they operating with American constitutional laws? Or are they operating with supporting the English statutory bankers' laws, the penal colony laws? The American constitutional laws basically were out there to basically, if a person was in debt, basically they would go and draw against the Treasury. But under the English statutory bankers' law, they send you to jail. Because they've falsely identified you as being the executor, the account that has an account number and everything on it, and send you off to jail in place of that taking the funds out of the account. Because they don't want the funds to come out of the account. They don't want you to basically be free. They want to control you, just like in the movie The Prince and the Pauper, how the English system was operating back then until the young prince became the king, and basically he put a stop to it at the end of the movie. It was all for the bankers' benefit that this was going on. The same thing was going on with the East India Company that basically caused the American Revolution and the Declaration of Independence. Because they were treating this country as a penal colony. These bankers and basically these people don't have any right to be over here. Everything belongs to the people. It don't belong to the corporations. But the corporations couldn't access the American Treasury, so they set up, and even Alexander Hamilton basically had a hand in this by setting up the Department of the Treasury to go and be able to operate and draw funds from the de jure Treasury. But they put a stop to that. And then they had to work around it to try and get the people to give letters of credit signature as the grantors to grant the credits out of the de jure Treasury so that they could turn around and come back in and claim the credits out of the Treasury after we abandoned them. When we gave the signature, those credits were supposed to go over and pay the bills. But they didn't. Because they wanted to use those credits as collateral so that they could get additional benefits from them and then deprive you of basically having the payment being set off right away. Trying to get you to pay out of your back pocket at the same time. In other words, turning around and buying the bonds back from them that were out there when you had the credits sitting right there to pay the bill. Until you people fully understand this system of how this operates, you're going to be tested on whether you know this or not. Okay? And if you don't have a pretty good handle on it, basically you will either fall right back into the scenario, just like when I was trying to tell you about Achilles. Okay, he was dunked in the River Seine, but he was killed by an arrow to the heel. Well, not really, but basically he succumbed back into the system. He had one item that drug him down, and he died then, supposedly. Well, if you hang on to any one of these items, you will get drugged down, and basically you will suffer a lot worse than you are right now. I'm just telling you what history has already proven. It's up to you guys to basically start getting your shit straight. We come in and basically we put the order in. we put a motion into the court, okay, and we're turning this over then, the trustee is going to have to comply, and he's going to have to operate under American law and support also not only the 14th Amendment, but he's also going to have to support the Expatriation Act when we come in and when we resign, revoke, disavow the foreign beneficiary position. Because a trust cannot operate without a beneficiary. And when we can prove that these other beneficial owners are fraudulent corporate fiduciaries in the process, then we've got them hands down. And that all these courts and everything else are operating under foreign statutory laws. And basically, when we put this in, you put this one item that I posted up on the Skype group, and you can put it into the court. You can put it into the clerk of the court, because the clerk of the court is also an officer. You put them on notice. Just like what I told you when I ran into the sheriff the other day. And I told him about the 13th Amendment. He said, "Oh, I better read that." I said, "Yeah, because it applies to you too." I don't know what more I can say about this stuff, people. This is really now in your hands. You guys have got to start talking this over and understanding it. Putting the pieces together. I've told you numerous movies out here, different books, everything, that all this is well documented in. Is fully documented in the Bible. But most people shed the Bible thinking it's only strictly a religious book, and then they go off half-cocked and thinking, oh yeah, some Yahweh up in Never Never Land is going to come down and pat them on the back and kick them in the butt if they don't do right. And he's going to protect their ass. No, it's you that's got to protect your ass. You have to come out of it first. What's the first commandment? Love thy God, thy Father. That is your spirit that you have to love. In other words, you have to love yourself. Until you can love yourself, you cannot love anybody else. Like the man Jesus said, there's only two commandments. The first one and then the second one. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Nothing more, nothing complicated. Two simple little things. And I never said a damn thing about loving a damn corporation. Or going out and kissing some governmental public servant's ass. There's a whole bunch of news out there on the damn internet that basically all of this shit's getting ready to fall apart. Well, basically, it was foretold for the last 2,000 years that this was going to take place. Whether it happens within the next couple of months or not. It may not. But that doesn't stop you from trying to get out of the system the right way. You start putting pressure on these people, and maybe there will be a bunch more that will start falling into line. It would have been a lot nicer if a lot more people out here, out of the 2,000 or some that are on this We the People group, would have woken up and tried to help in the damn process out here. I don't think there's anybody else out here that's basically gone through and analyzed that 14th Amendment the way I have.
I like that, right.
Or understood the Expatriation Act. Or understood half of the words that I'm using out here. Put the definitions out here, highlighted the definitions to try and make it real simple for you people to understand. Most of the people have been going out here half-cocked and basically doing the same thing that people were doing 40, 50 years ago, going down the same path. Really, they're going down the same path that people have been going down for the last 2,000 years. Because they never understood the banking system. They think they know everything else about here, but they never really give a shit about the banking. Oh, that's just money. You're just after money. You're just after this. We're not out here after money. We're out here after our inheritance, our assets, which is not money. Okay? Our rights, our entitlements. And the corporations and these bankers are out here trying to take it away from us. It's a shell game. And that's all they're doing. Conflict of interest, shell game. Which law do we operate with today? Which beneficiary do we support today? Which office are we supporting today? Give a little here, take a hell of a lot over here. That's their game. They have to operate by the law when you force the law onto them, or else they're going to go down. You have to have faith and belief. If you don't have faith and belief, you'll never get anywhere. Like I said last phone call, basically Hallmark out here puts out movies around Christmas time about having belief in Santa Claus. Same scenario works here. You have to believe that the law is your Santa Claus. That you're going to have justice. If you don't have belief in the justice system, then basically the justice system ain't going to be there for you. And you'll just be a non-believer. Okay. Open it up for questions. I'm done rattling.
Yeah. Got a question for you, Pastor.
Okay, speak up.
You mentioned expatriatism.
Expatriation.
What was the purpose of that act?
It was to provide protections for the people when they got into this banking system, that they would be able to basically renounce being a beneficiary and come out of the foreign controls.
Okay, because it states that those who expatriate themselves will have imposed on them a 30%.
Where'd you read that?
Right here in GovTrack U.S. Congress bills. And they were going over that Expatriate Act. They're basically
No,
saying,
that isn't the right Patriation Act. That is basically something that was written later on, and they're talking about something entirely different. You're not expatriating away from the United States of America.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I have a visitor.
You have to read volume 15, and I had Tom post that up there, I thought. That latest rev that I posted up there the other day.
Okay.
The Expatriation Act with the revised statutes included into it. Okay? That was written in 1868, the night before the 14th Amendment. It allowed you to expatriate away from being claimed as a foreign citizen or a foreign whatever. That you fraudulently got hooked up with them. And that's what we did when we got with this Social Security account. We were born an American citizen. We were born of the land. We are an American citizen. We have never fully, and to our knowledge, filed any papers for expatriation and naturalization with a foreign country. Have you ever signed anything knowingly?
No.
No, it was by fraud that they got you to do this. Under presumption that you were a foreign citizen. By putting all that shit out there about being a United States citizen. Under American law, there is no statute of limitation upon fraud. Under English bankers' law, there is. Or that other document that I sent you the other day, that 10-page document, Tom.
Yeah.
Okay, it says right in it, in the title about that.
In the first paragraph, too.
Yeah, the confidential relationship theory of constructive trust. Per something about the statutory fraud, statutory limits or whatever. See, that's based upon the English statutory laws.
Yeah, I didn't get that. That really confused me. But now that you're saying it's under English law, I get it. Thank you. That's English law.
Yeah, see, it's for the banker's benefit.
Right, okay.
But under American law, there is no statute of limitation upon fraud. They might have tried to write it in under the United States 1871 copyrighted United States statutory laws out here, putting a limitation upon fraud in constructive trust, but no. Under American law, there is not. And see, that's basically what that 14th Amendment is saying. That's American law right there. And those constructive trusts are basically a violation of the 14th Amendment. You guys have to be careful when you go into this internet and start Googling some of this stuff. You've got to see how it really ties back to one another. That's the problem. People go in there and find something, well, basically they don't know the difference, and they start spouting that off. Well, it says this here, it says this here, and basically you're putting out bum information. Any other questions?
Yeah, Patrick, if since we're the grantors originally and we were tricked into being United States citizens or fraud or non-disclosure or whatever, you know, we got Social Security numbers, we signed up for all their letters of credit and everything. Can we do it without a power of attorney? We can just do it by being ourselves. We don't have to have a power of attorney or anything like that for all these bogus straw men. We're just giving it back to them. We're like exchanging it and bringing it back onto the counter, right?
We are coming in. Basically, we were assigned the title of also being the beneficiary on these trusts. Okay?
Right.
So we have our second person, our son of man person.
Mm-hmm.
He's the beneficiary. Now, they also established a mortmain account using your same name, but all capitalized name, and that is the executor or guarantor's account, mortmain account that's out there. That's where the credits are being held under the fraudulent conveyance or fraudulent assignment, just like on a mortgage contract. Most of those mortgages are not mortgages. They're deeds of trust. In other words, they're the constructive trust in the process. You signed as the grantor on the right-hand side, and then they put your name down or got you to sign on the left-hand side, identifying the grantor or the executor account to where the funds were going to be held in that account. Not to go pay the bill, but basically put them in an account.
Yeah. A holding account, yeah.
Yeah, when you were the grantor, you gave a letter of credit signature. And see, that's what we're coming in. We're coming in as two persons, one people and one person, whatever, into the process as the grantor and then also as the beneficiary.
Right.
Your grantor is, like in my case, Patrick, semicolon, of the family divine.
Right.
My beneficiary is Patrick divine. That's my son of man or God, whatever. my right-hand person. His mark will be the thumbprint. The grantor's marks will be the boundary markers of his right and left index fingers. I think I tried to make that
Right.
point out on some of those documents.
Son of man, yeah. Son of God, yeah. Right hand thumbprint. Yeah, you're turning that guy in. You don't want him anymore.
No, we're turning in the foreign beneficiary office.
Right.
We're not giving up the person.
Right. Beneficiary office.
Yes, the foreign beneficiary position in this foreign trust. Therefore, there's nobody sitting in the beneficiary position of that trust. So if there's no beneficiary, that trust can no longer operate. But we're also turning over the executor account over to the U.S. trustee to become a ward, an unalienable ward, and he's the slave person because we have to give up our slaves per the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment, the banking slaves of England. They're English banking slaves, just like what it says in the movie The Prince and the Pauper.
Mm-hmm.
The one guy there had turned his cheek and had an S on his cheek. The mark of the slave.
Right.
The
Yeah, they
Social
usually
Security
tattooed
number,
him.
Social Security is a slave marking. They mark you as a slave. But your slave person is the account.
Okay. So we turn over the executor to the U.S. trustee. So we're surrendering our slaves, or we're giving them up.
Yes, and then he has to liquidate them. He's going to be the U.S. trustee liquidator.
Right.
And then he has to give everything back to the grantor because he can't hold it any longer as a trustee. And per the fourth or the second sentence in the 14th Amendment, Section 4, basically the beneficial owners are going to be out to lunch because basically almost all of their contracts are frauds. They've already been paid.
Right.
Patrick,
Yes.
this violation of office write-up that you have, that seems to serve almost like the FBI warning that you were having, that you give it to everybody. And it looks like you serve it as a notice so that then when you give them the emancipation, that they actually treat it.
I would put this into the cover letter in any case that you go into.
Okay.
Okay? The U.S. attorney, basically anybody, put it in your cover letter.
Okay. That serves as a notice then.
Yeah. Change the title around from U.S. trustee to U.S. or state attorney general or whatever.
Right. Good.
That basically if they're operating in violation of their office, and they are, in most cases, and half of them don't even realize it.
Okay.
But they're held accountable for knowing the law, too.
Yes. For them ignorance of
More
the law
so than we are. Okay?
Especially ignorance of the law for them is no defense at all.
No.
Okay.
It is jail time for them.
Right. Okay. So this basically opens up the door by putting it in the cover letter so that they have to treat our emancipation in the correct way.
This is basically going to close the door upon them from doing anything wrong.
Right. Okay, got it. Thank you. I was wondering.
They're not going to have any wiggle room in this process.
Okay, I was wondering where exactly to put this. That answers it clearly. Thank you. And I see in your Rev 7 here that you refer to things in the cover letter. So that means we take out the last part of the extra stuff that we had in the manumission and put it in the cover letter too?
Not necessarily in the cover letter, or what else does it say, Tom?
Or the motion, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You put certain things into the cover letter and you put certain things into the motion.
Okay, got it.
And you have to know which players are which in this process. Don't mix and match them. You mix and match them, you'll end up like Achilles, getting shot in the heel and dying.
I need to be very careful about that.
Any other questions? Okay, I'll get off the line. You guys can go ahead and talk amongst yourselves if you want to.
Okay.
Take care.
Thank you very much, Patrick.
Okay.
Okay, bye. I'll show you later. And anybody want to talk about this further? Patrick answered my main question as to exactly where do we pull the rug out from the trustees and the other officers. And it does look like we could write this up as a general notice and drop it on people just like our FBI and FBE warnings.
That's what it seems like.
Right.
You could even leave the line blank as to what their office is and fill it in and hand it off and already have it sealed, and then just add the name.
Right. Or just change it to any officer, any public officer, and hand it to anybody, postmaster.
So do you think, are you going to change yours to say acting U.S. trustee, or are you going to just leave it as trustee, Tom?
I'm just going to leave it as trustee. I don't know whether they consider it having that meaning. It could very well possibly be. But they're holding the office of trustee, even though their own personal title may be acting.
Right, and at this point, when they read this, they're going to know that we know what's behind the curtain. So
right. So we don't care what their personal title is. We're looking at the office they're holding.
Right.
Okay. Okay, well, now he cleared up the major points there, and I need to go back and study the documents and see exactly what to pull out to put in the motion and to put in the cover letter. So that's the kind of thing we can discuss in the Skype group. Well, once we get down and really study it carefully. Okay?
Awesome.
So let's do that. Let's get on the Skype group and use it for this purpose, not all that other chit-chatting. Okay, guys?
All right, Tom.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Yeah, Tom.